Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. Victor F. Einstein on the screen got his intuitive skill highlighted. I'll talk about why once we get into the battle. Swirsky and Mikawa are his inspirations. This is the build I'm using on the legendary tier American Heavy Cruiser, Alaska, or as I like to call it, the Bud Light Iowa. In fact, in this game, we are going to showcase the Alaska's armor-piercing by shooting only the armor-piercing at every target for the entirety of the game, and we're going to come away with some excellent damage numbers and some excellent results. I think somebody's going to top us on the leaderboard, and we're going to come in second, but that's all right. Now, you'll notice right off the bat that in the upper center of the screen, or now in the lower center of the screen, there's that sort of faded white arch, and that is the radio position finder skill. On destroyers, we know it as twist and track. That intuitive skill that I had highlighted on Einstein also gives you this radio positioning skill arc thingy that points at the closest enemy ship to you, or at least points in their direction. It also increases the duration of the sonar and radar consumables on cruisers. I've had a few people recently ask me how on earth a cruiser could be locating them. If you're on the receiving end of this intuitive or radio positioning finding skill, then on your screen, a white arrow that says located appears. Typically, if you see that arrow, you assume it is because a destroyer running the twist and track commander skill is near you. But with Victor F. Einstein, you can get the same skill on your American cruisers, and I believe with that other Russian cruiser commander that nobody actually uses, what's his name? I think Makarov. I think he also has a skill that does something like this too. I don't think it's called the same thing, but you get the radio position finder with it. In any case, it's a nice skill to have, and with our full concealment build using the concealment mod on Alaska and Mikawa and Swirsky as inspirations, we've got our detectability down to the very low 10-kilometer range. If we are not spotted and we don't see anything else, this radio positioning finder gives us a good indication of where to look. And if we are spotted, we know there's a destroyer within our radar range and we want to pop the radar, then we know where to aim our guns. Speaking of guns, they hit the turrets there in our opening salvo for 17,000 damage. You can see why I call this the Bud Light Iowa, because with this armor piercing, you can get battleship-like results. Enemy Alaska, pulling around the corner, exposing, flat broadside, coming to a halt. A recipe for success or disaster. If you guessed disaster, you are correct. This salvo hits him for a citadel and over 24,000 damage, I believe, bringing our total already with 3 minutes passed into the game, or 4 minutes, up to 49,000 damage done. Being cautious here, because we're sailing toward an island, we are going to run into it, but not before we take out that enemy Alaska for our first kill. We've got problems, though, on the other side of that island. An enemy Yamato is about to pull around. Now, the Alaska, pretty heavily armored cruiser, 32 millimeters of plating basically everywhere. The Yamato, though, does not care about 32 millimeters of plating. It will overmatch any of those sections of the ship and potentially deal massive damage. Luckily here, we see the value of putting concealment on your cruisers, even your big, heavy, and heavily armored ones like Alaska. We are too far away from the Yamato for him to be able to spot us, and there is no destroyer in the area. This is allowing us to dictate the terms of this engagement. If we don't want to shoot at the Yamato, there's no reason for us to do so. And right now there is no reason for us to shoot at the Yamato, as it appears we are the only ship that he has easy access to. So he'll respond in kind if we should unleash our guns, and that is going to hurt a lot more for us than it would for him. However, we are approaching this island, and we will get behind it and into safety. So we do unleash a shot, and we don't get to see exactly how well it does, but we get 2 penetrations and an overpen, along with some ricochets and shatters. I think 1 of each. Z-23 over here still got the AP loaded, but doesn't matter. He's got no hit points. We take his final 771 away. Not before he launches torpedoes at the friendly battleship over there, but it looks like that battleship only takes 1 and gets away relatively unscathed. 2 Yamatos now. Not ideal, but both of them presenting pretty wide, pretty open angles. Taking a shot at this first Yamato, grounding ourselves on this island, sort of using it as free, impenetrable armor. Most of the Yamato shells crash into it and therefore pose no harm to us. Other Yamato out there, also fairly broadside, taking another shot at him as the first Yamato reverses behind the island, too afraid of the Alaska's hard-hitting Bud Light Iowa AP shells. And of course, I think I've said before about the Alaska, these guns are technically battleship caliber guns. So is this a cruiser, a battleship, a battle cruiser? I don't know. It hits hard though. Not on that salvo. Unfortunately, we get unlucky. Perhaps our aim was a little bit too low. Adjusting that now as we pull around the corner of this island, no longer in danger of being spotted by either of the Yamatos, and that other battleship out there is too far outside of our max firing range, so he will not be able to see us either. At some point during the course of all this, the enemy destroyer went down, which is just fine for me. It makes it even easier to control engagements like the ones against these battleships, and we've been working so far at whittling away this Yamato from over the island, getting a couple decent AP penetration hits on the Yamato, and basically this game has convinced me that I really ought to shoot more armor piercing in the Alaska. Lately, as I've been playing it, I've been perhaps shooting the high explosive a little too much, and like I said, by the time this battle ends, we won't have shot a single shell of high explosive, and we've still got a lot of damage left to do. Yamato's coming around the corner again. He's going to be broadside. We are sailing close to the island. The idea is to keep the island between our ship and the enemy Yamato as much as possible, but also try to go slowly enough that we can maintain firing arcs on him and hit him in that broadside. Now he is turning in, though, recognizing the threat from our armor piercing. Probably would be a good idea to slow down at this point, but we do see an enemy Tirpitz sailing this way. He appears to be broadside to us. He, of course, only has 15-inch guns, and we will have no problem angling against those 15-inch guns. Nevertheless, we'll keep the island between ourselves and the Tirpitz for a while. Why be spotted if you don't have to be? The Yamatos, though, are encroaching on our position, steadily moving up. There are 2 of them, and they've taken out the battleship right there in front of us. So we've come to a complete halt. We're not going to reverse or anything like that, but we are going to reverse a little bit, but not too far, just far enough to get this little rock cropping out of the way for long enough for us to take a shot. The Yamato is straightening out his angle now, presenting a perfectly flat broadside, and so we citadel him twice for 22,000 damage. There is a blue battleship in front of him, a friendly one, that he is forced to angle against. So essentially we have a crossfire on him now. He has to decide what's worse, giving broadside to the friendly battleship or to me. And I think my guns are making a good case that giving a broadside to me is not actually, that bright of an idea. That salvo was 30-something thousand damage. He is healing some of it back up, but it's not going to be enough to save his life. It's only him and a cruiser now on the other side of the map left alive, as the Yamato on the enemy team behind him goes down somehow. Not sure. Missed it. In any case, we're reversing now. We're going to try to get the killing blow on this Yamato. He has had enough of our cheeky HE. His guns were aimed at us, not HE, AP. His guns were aimed at us, but he didn't get a chance to fire before he went down. And so that's pretty much it for this game. We finish with 172,000 damage and 7 Citadel ribbons, using only the Alaska's armor piercing, which is quite strong. That cruiser on the other side of the map, I don't remember if he goes down before the game ends or not, but I am going to do nothing much of any consequence before the game is over, so I suppose we will cut to the results screen here. Be sure to leave a comment and a thumbs up if you like the video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already done that, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.